What's up, everyone? It's DSP, and welcome to episode 15 of The Hateful Truth. We are going to be moving a little bit fast because I only have about 30 minutes to get through this, and I have to talk about several games that I played over the past week. So let's jump right into it with the first game, which is Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. A sequel to a game that came out in 2008, and at that time it was pretty innovative because everyone said, gee, I always wish I had a game where that was like an action-based Star Wars game. I could run around with force powers and throwing people and using force lightning. The game looked really neat back then, and the one problem with that game was that it had a lot of bugs when it was released. There were parts of the game where the game would tell you to do one thing in like a cinematic part of QuickTime, and then it wouldn't work. There were parts of the game where you would fall through the ground and die instantly, which happened to me many times. There was a lot of platforming issues with clipping and things like that. Some buggy combat. So people were like, well, the game was decent. It got pretty decent reviews, but it didn't get, you know, like all-star reviews because a lot of people just said if the game bugs had not been in there, it would have been a much better game. And so the hype for this game was there. A lot of TV ads I saw and things like that for it. A lot of people had high hopes. And to be completely honest with you, this game fell flat on its face. What LucasArts did, what it seems like they really centered on, was improving the fact that there were so many bugs in the first game. In fact, I found almost no bugs in this game. I think there was one through the entire playthrough. And it's a really polished game. The graphics are really good. The sound effects are excellent. But here's the problem. The game is extremely short. The game, I believe I beat it in around roughly 4 hours. 4 hours. Keep in mind that this is a single-player game. There's absolutely no online play whatsoever. There's no cooperative play whatsoever. It's just a campaign. And the only reason that once you beat it, we would ever go back to play it again is either to see the alternate ending where you either choose the light side or dark side ending because you get an extra achievement if you do either one, or because you want to maybe do some of the challenge modes. There are a couple training challenge modes like, oh, you know, in the challenge mode, force push 10 dudes, or get a bronze ranking in a challenge match, get a silver ranking in a challenge match, and just by doing those you get achievements. And the honest truth is that's exactly what the first game was like. It was a campaign, and once you beat it, maybe you wanted to see the alternate ending. Once you did that, you would just go ahead and do the challenge modes, and you were done. But the problem with that is the campaign of the first game was like almost, if I'm remembering correctly, at least 6 hours, if not longer. Why would they make a sequel that basically it works out the bugs, but is like half the length of the first game? I just don't understand that. And then to boot, the first and last stages take place on the same planet, and they actually reuse some of the same parts of the stage. So it's like, how much effort did they really put into this game is my question. And so just because of that, I mean, I can't fault the gameplay. The gameplay is spot on this time around. With the force controls, there's no bugs. Like I said, I didn't fall through a floor. I didn't know crazy stuff was happening. But at the same time, once I beat the game within 4 hours, I feel like I wasted my money. This isn't even a game long enough to last you a weekend rental. That's how short this game is. So in this day and age, buddy, I'm sorry, but you can't have a 4-hour game. It's just not acceptable. I could see a 4-hour campaign and then an exceptional online mode for $60. That would make sense. But the fact that this basically is just a 4-hour campaign, then maybe another additional 45 minutes to replay the last level and get the additional achievement, and then maybe fart around with the challenge mode, maybe an hour. So okay, I got 6 hours of gameplay, $10 an hour? Sorry, that doesn't fly today. Especially when this gaming season, there's so many outstanding games giving us an exceptional amount of time out of them, including Fallout New Vegas and Fable 3. This game falls very short. So I'm sorry, but I have to say I was disappointed by this game. I have to give Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 a 6. That's right, a stinky 6. Because it is just, if this game were 8 hours long, it probably would have gotten an 8 or higher. But the fact that they basically screwed me over, it gets a 6. It's an improved version of the first game, but it's way too damn short to get anything better than an average score. It is a slightly above average game, but it's just too damn short. It gets a 6. It stinks. Up next, and I apologize because I was going to grab the game boxes and I forgot to grab them. We've got the 2 games this week that were, last week released for the PS Move with motion controls. There's Time Crisis Razing Storm, and there's the shoe. Let's talk about Time Crisis first. The game has exceptional value because for $60, not only are you getting Time Crisis Razing Storm arcade mode, you're getting a unique campaign mode that they created just for this console game. You're also getting the full version of Time Crisis 4, and you get Dead Storm Pirates, which is another totally new rail shooting game. So basically you're getting 3 games in one. They understand, for a rail shooter, if you're going to pay $60, you're going to want value. Well, this game has a lot of value packed into it. Now, to be completely honest with you, I only got a chance to play 2 or 3 modes with John Rambo, as you saw on the playthrough on DSP Gaming. The arcade version of Razing Storm is a lot of fun, but it's very short. And we did die a little bit early. There's a weird part where if you survive it, the game continues for an additional stage. But if you don't survive it, the game just ends. And it's really stupid because the game doesn't tell you that. I didn't even know that until some fans commented on the videos and said, Phil, if you had beaten that stage, you would have continued on for one more stage. But the arcade mode is very short. We did not get a chance to play the custom campaign, which actually uses not only the wand, the motion wand, the PS Move controller, but also the navigational controller to move around. It's more of like an FPS game. But I can't really speak to that because we didn't have time to play it. I can tell you right now, Time Crisis 4 I have. It's a good game. Time Crisis 4 was a really solid arcade game when it was out. They did try to do that FPS campaign, and that really wasn't very good. I remember trying to play it and it kind of stunk. But the arcade game of Time Crisis 4 is decently long, and it was a really solid game. Dead Storm Pirates took us by surprise because it actually took a little while for it to load to the hard drive with the PS3, and so we were a little bit disappointed about that. But once we got into it, we really enjoyed it. It's a really solid rail shooter, some unique elements there with pirates and ghosts and things like that. I think honestly the best thing on here is Dead Storm Pirates. I think this game should have been called Dead Storm Pirates with 2 Time Crisis games also included because that should have been the main feature. The graphics are outstanding and the gameplay was really good. So. Also, what we found this week is that the PS Move motion controls actually work really, really well with this kind of game. In fact, right here, this is what we were using. For $20, this is the price of this. This is the PlayStation Move gun accessory, and it really helped us for the rail shooters that we play. So I think this is almost mandatory because without this, you have to keep going like this to fire, which who's going to be able to point and shoot like that? You need this. You need a gun to be able to do it. So this is almost mandatory for these rail shooters that are coming out for PS Move. So this I definitely recommend. I can't really rate it because it's just a piece of plastic, but I definitely recommend if you're going to get rail shooters, get the attachment. As a game, what do I give Time Crisis Razing Storm? I give it a... I can't give it too high of a rate. I have to give it maybe a 7.5. It's a really decent rail shooter. There's a lot of replayability, a lot of value, and I can't give it an 8 because even an 8 would be it's outstanding. It's not outstanding. It's a rail shooter. It's not revolutionary. It's not breaking bounds or anything like that, but it's a pretty solid game, so I give it a 7.5. The shoe, on the other hand, takes a little bit of a different perspective than Time Crisis. Rather than being a traditional arcade-style rail shooter, it tries to be, it almost reminded me of TV Superstars, and here's why. Because TV Superstars, you only started out with, say, 4 game modes, and the more that you played it, you unlocked more and more, and then there would be more stuff to play. Well, the shoe is the same way. Basically, you're on a movie set, and it's a rail shooter. You have to shoot different things that are coming at you, and you get bonus abilities and things like that. And there's 5 stages, and each stage, when you beat it, you unlock the next stage, you unlock the next stage. And it's not just one theme. There's a Western theme, there's a ghosts and monsters theme, there's robots theme. But the problem is, in order to get to the next theme, you have to get a certain score on the version that you're playing. So, for example, when the game starts, all that you can play as is the Western theme. And so, if you're not a fan of that, maybe you wanted to play with robots, you can't. You have to beat the Western theme, and you have to beat it well enough to unlock the next stage. That's a hassle, because a game like this, if it's truly arcade mode, everything should be ready, or at least semi-ready from the start. In this case, it's not. It's like, unlock 1 to get to the next, and what if you bought it because you really wanted a cool ghost shooter? Well, too bad. You have to beat the Westerns, and you have to beat the robots before you can even get to those. And that's a little disappointing. In fact, it's really disappointing because John and I were doing a playthrough of this game, and we could only get, we maybe played it for about an hour and a half, and we beat the robot stage, but we didn't get a high enough score to unlock it, and we're like, man, we don't want to spend another hour replaying the robot stage to try to get a high enough score to unlock the next one. And we, predictably, we took the game, we said, well, too bad, and we put it down, and we went and we played something else. And I get the feeling that unless someone dedicates time to sit there and unlock everything, that's what everyone's going to do. They're going to sit down for 10, 15 minutes, play through the Western stage, maybe get to the robot, play that, and say, what the hell is this? I don't want to spend another 3 hours trying to perfect the robot stage so that I can unlock the next stage, and they're going to put the game down. So, one other thing that I did notice about this is that the detection for some of the special abilities is very weird. So for example, one of the abilities is you slow time, but to do it, you need to actually, the game tells you you're supposed to be standing up and you're supposed to spin in place with the controller in your hand. Now, a lot of people aren't going to be standing up. They sit down when they play these games like I do. In this case, I was standing up, but I found out you didn't have to do this. All you had to do was this. Put the gun behind your back, bring it back, and it simulated what you were doing. I thought that was a little weird. But one of the things that never seemed to work was there's an ability that it kills everything on the screen at once if you shoot at the ground. And what was happening was we were shooting towards the bottom of the screen, nowhere near the ground, but towards the bottom of the screen, and it was activating itself automatically. That was frustrating, and that's a game problem. That's a calibration problem with their software, that it should detect that you're not going down here, that you were just a little bit low to the ground, and that's a problem. So, unfortunately, between the two, I have to say that Time Crisis is way better. This game is okay, but the fact that you have to unlock stuff and constantly replay the same things to unlock those things is frustrating, and it also, there's a little bit of problem with the controls, so I'm going to give the shoot a 6.5. It's above average. It's not a boring, crappy game, but it's one that might frustrate you a little bit. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably get Time Crisis. Okay, so now we're on to another game that was a major game this week, Fable 3. And if you watched my unboxing video, I did get the limited collector's edition of this game. What do I think about Fable 3? Let me put it to you this way. First of all, I definitely think this game is a major improvement over Fable 2. One of the major disappointments I had with Fable 2 was that there was a lot of choices and things that you made in the game, and you know, but depending on what you did and what you chose in that game, it would change your appearance. You would change to a monster, or you would change to like an angel. And also, the problem with that was that it didn't actually affect the ending, meaning you could be super evil and then all of a sudden at the ending choose the good ending. And it was like, wow, how does that make sense? Then really nothing that you do during the game really changes anything when you think about it. In this game, the ending is a lot better than it was in Fable 2. Let's put it that way. Fable 2, I was very disappointed. I chose the bad ending, and it was very unfulfilling. I thought it was supposed to be unlimited money because I chose greed, which was the bad choice. And they only gave me enough money to buy like one castle in the whole game. And I was like, how is that a choice? Like, I played for hours on end and you're only going to let me buy one castle? You didn't even give me enough money to do anything else? In this game, the ending is directly dependent upon how you have acted during the game. So if you acted like a real asshole to those revolutionaries who helped you become king, they're not going to be there for you at the end of the game. But at the flip side of that, if you kept your word, kept your promises to them, and were loyal to them, they are there at the end of the game, and it dramatically changes the ending of the game. Also, depending on what you do in this game, you can unlock different areas. There's actually completely optional areas in the game that, depending upon your actions, whether good or bad, will open up for you. So I had a really good portion of the game. I played as a hero, not a villain, so I did all the positive choices, and I ended up actually unlocking an optional island called Driftwood that gave me an achievement, that gave me all this cool stuff. Now, if I played bad, I would have unlocked a different area that's basically for evil people, and there was also an achievement and things associated with that area. So, depending on what you choose, you unlock different areas. It does change the appearance of your character, just like in Fable 2. I personally enjoyed the story of Fable 3 more than I enjoyed the story of Fable 2. And I don't know, I guess the combat is a little bit more refined. It's very basic. Obviously, they're attacking me, mash, attack, maybe do a counter attack here or there, or a charged flourish attack here or there. They're long range, just throw fucking magic, or, pull your gun out and use your range attack. So, yeah, the combat's still really, really simple, but, the ability to recruit these different people to your cause, the ability to turn the townspeople either for or against you, they either love you or fear you. Really well done this time. I think the game was a lot more polished than Fable 2 was. One thing that I didn't even get to try was the co-op play. And from what I'm hearing, the cooperative play is outstanding. So I might, if I find someone who has this game, because no one that I know bought it, unfortunately, but like if Rambo or someone else buys this game, I might just temporarily try to jump into their game to test that portion out. But let me put it to you this way. Just based off of my one playthrough of Fable 3, this game gets, actually, if you can believe it, an 8.5. I think this is one of the best games of the year right now. I honestly, true to God, believe that this is one of the best games you can get for $60. I believe my initial playthrough of the game ended up clocking in at about maybe 14 to 15 legitimate gameplay hours. And when I say legitimate, it's because if anyone plays Fable, you already know what I'm talking about. Everyone does this. All you do is you buy up all the property and all the businesses in the game, and then every 5 minutes you actually get the revenue from that. So all you really need to do to get money in this game is you buy off everything, you leave your Xbox on overnight, you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, and you're a millionaire. And that's exactly what I did, and I was able to get the best ending for the game because I did that. Now, is that an easy way out? Sure. I could have done some more missions. I could have done grinding and things like that. I could have played cooperative, because when you play cooperative, you actually automatically get paid money on a 5-minute interim as if you had businesses and things like that in the single-player campaign. But I needed to beat the game in order to move on to newer games this week. So, 8.5 for Fable 3, a major improvement on Fable 2, a satisfying ending. I'm not spoiling, but I just want to let everyone know the ending is extremely satisfying, and it's completely dependent upon the choices you make in the game, which is a big difference from the end of Fable 2 that I thought was a big, huge letdown. Okay. 2 more games to talk about, and they were both Halloween surprises. Well, not surprises, but Halloween specials. The first that we'll talk about really quickly is Indigo Prophecy. And Indigo Prophecy was the second game that the company Quantic Dream had made before they actually moved on and developed Heavy Rain, which was released for the PlayStation 3 earlier this year. So, not surprisingly, Indigo Prophecy is extremely similar to the gameplay of Heavy Rain when it comes to pushing directions, quick time events, and the like. I actually thought, comparing the two, because obviously when they're both made by the same company and they're the same style of game, you have to compare the two and draw some comparisons. I thought the voice acting in this was actually better than Heavy Rain, because it seems like in Heavy Rain, they got a lot of Europeans to do the voice acting, and they didn't know how to pronounce certain words. They were like, the origami killer. Like, what the hell is origami? There's no such thing called origami. It's origami. And not knowing that, it kind of made the game a little bit awkward. Here, everyone seems natural. Everyone seems to fit into their voice acting roles really well. So I really did enjoy that. The game's a little bit on the comedic side. There's a lot of comic relief with with Tyrone, the detective, who is basically looking to figure out what's going on. At the same time, there's a lot of hilarious racial stereotypes. There, unfortunately, has a crazy, weird ending. Like, the last hour of gameplay gets really odd, because what I'm told, I can't confirm this, but what I'm told is basically that the developers, Quantic Dream, had an idea of what they wanted to do with the plot, but because this was one of the very first games that used really realistic motion capturing, the voice acting and things like that, the production value, really where this game became an interactive movie, they actually ran long during development time, and they ran out of time. So they had to rush the ending of their game, which would have taken significantly longer, into like an hour. So all of a sudden, in the last hour, you get all kinds of crazy shit happening that really throws you off. You're like, wow, I thought this game was a murder mystery similar to Heavy Rain, and all this insane shit happens. You're like, whoa, I just really was not expecting that. So, if you do play this game, expect a twist ending that's really weird, but a very enjoyable game. I have to say, obviously, these day and age, the graphics are outdated, but that's because the game is 5 years old. If the game had come out this year, it might have been just on par with Heavy Rain graphics-wise. But it is what it is. Giving it a fair score, I'm actually going to give Indigo Prophecy an 8. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a fun game. Innovative, just like Heavy Rain was. The same style of game. And for the time, 2005, the graphics are really impressive. The voice acting is amazing. The soundtrack, which I forgot to mention, is also outstanding. So definitely, if you get a chance in a bargain bin or you see it somewhere, you can actually, I believe, download it on Xbox Live. It's an Xbox Original. Check it out. Definitely a game worth checking out. I give it an 8. The final game that we're going to talk about isn't a full game, but it's actually a DLC that ended up being the length of a full game. It's actually Red Dead Redemption's DLC Undead Nightmare, or well, I like to term it Red for Dead, because really what it is a combination of the Red Dead Redemption open world western gameplay with zombie killing and zombie survival horror. So overall, the game is outstanding. I just want to tell you, it really is just like playing Red Dead Redemption again, only now it has a zombie twist. And just so everyone knows, it is not contiguous or with the storylines. There's no continuity with the storyline from the real campaign. Basically, if this had happened, there was no way whatsoever that the actual campaign could have still taken place, because there's crucial characters that end up getting killed. At least they lead you to believe that. I mean, obviously you want to believe that there's no real zombies and that this is an alternate world, but who knows? Maybe there is a way that they could explain it off and say that it does fit in with the canon of the original game. But anyway, first of all, it's almost 8 hours long. I just don't think about that. An 8-hour DLC, and it didn't cost a bajillion points. If I remember correctly, it was either 800 or 1,200 points. I can't remember now. I apologize that I didn't document that. But 8 hours of gameplay for that much, it's a great value. I mean, most games these days, you pay $60 and you don't get 8 hours of gameplay. Here's a DLC that comes out of the box running and is outstanding. So let me tell you, all of your favorite characters from the original campaign return. Well, I don't want to say all, most of them. Some of them have happy endings and some of them don't have such happy endings. The story here actually has a really clear explanation and resolution of what happened and why zombies came to this wasteland. So it really is interesting to find that out. There's some really cool Easter eggs, like for example, there's a Sasquatch mission where you hunt Sasquatches, and they look just like the Sasquatch from that famous picture and video that guy took, that you can find all over the internet. And there's a twist ending to that mission if you do it. You can catch the 4 horses of the apocalypse, each of which are actually straight out of biblical reference. So you got war, which has a mane and a tail of flame, and you can catch the horse and break the horse and make the horse your own. That's really cool. There's some other Easter eggs, like the chupacabras in the game. There's a unicorn in the game. All kinds of cool stuff like that. So I do have to say that after maybe 5 to 6 hours, it does start to get repetitive. It's pretty much the same tasks and things that they're sending you out there to do, but it's just enough. It's just long enough to be an outstanding presentation, because if it were a little bit longer, it probably would have said it got too repetitive. I think it was just long enough to whet your appetite back for that Red Dead Redemption gameplay. Now, in addition to the outstanding campaign, there's actually open world gameplay afterwards. So after you beat this game, you can actually continue to play it to get your achievements, just like you could in Red Dead Redemption. And in addition to that, it has new multiplayer modes. And I haven't even had a chance to check out the multiplayer modes yet, but I can tell you they're probably going to be outstanding. So, overall, for a DLC like this, that everyone was anticipating but really wasn't sure what to expect, to be that long, to have that much great content, and it came out on Halloween, which was also a cool treat, well, the week of Halloween. Amazing. I give Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare DLC a 9. It's that damn good. And if anything this week, if any game you're going to run out and play this week, if you still have Red Dead Redemption, get the DLC first, play the hell out of it. It's fun as hell. Then I would probably say, go get Fable 3, because Fable 3 is really fun, and you're going to get a lot of gameplay out of it, and you're going to enjoy it. So, that's it for the Hateful Truth this week. Next week we're going to have a lot of other games to discuss as well. A couple 007 games for a change, and of course what everyone's been waiting for, the big one, Microsoft Kinect. We're going to get to see if it's good or if it sucks dick. So, I'm DSP, signing off for the Hateful Truth this week. See you next time.